You always find that it comes down to this, and this is where it's going to sound simple. Every disagreement you have, every conflict, every falling out you have, comes as a result of somebody not meeting a desire that you had.
Shopé, I be Shopé honest. Someone I know got me on the next thing.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. You already know who I am, Shope or Shope, depending on what part of the world you're from. Nigerian, Canadian, Afrofusion recording artist and lover of all things music, culture, creativity, and business. I think we've done this enough that I can stop doing that all the time. But welcome back to another episode, man. First and foremost, I just want to shout out everybody who's been watching all the previous videos, who's been commenting. I really appreciate you. Understand that I do not take any of that for granted, and the fact that I kind of like just started this thing off the cuff, these informal vlogs, which are really just an opportunity for me to go from thought to you guys right away without much buffer in between. You tell me whether that's a good or a bad thing. Without much like production. Is just I think it's really cool because everything else that I give, whether it's music or videos or some of the idea, goes through this long refining process where there's the idea and then I mull it over and then I create it and then I refine it and I edit it and I do all these things, and then before you finally get it, there's a long period of time that's gone by. So I really like these informal vlogs because they just give an opportunity to just kind of like get rid of a lot of that kind of like space in between and just really kind of like just give you guys something and learn from you guys as well. So thank you so much if you've been following along and if you've been watching. We're back in the car today. I didn't like how the other videos came out. I don't know, but we're back here for now. Either way, thank you so much. Today, I want to talk about something that I know we all relate with. It's going to sound simple and complicated at the same time, but check it out. First things first, I need you to do, of course, I need you to smash the like button, you feel me? Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notifications. And if you find any value in any of the stuff that's being shared, then please share it with somebody, you know what I'm saying? Send it on WhatsApp, on Signal, email, your social media, because these are, I think, lessons that I'm learning that I think are beneficial for everybody and a lot of people can learn from. So anyways, today, I want you to think about the nature of conflict and disagreement, right? The nature of conflict and disagreement. What happens whenever you disagree with someone or whenever you're upset at someone, and whenever there's some sort of a falling out? You always find that it comes down to this, and this is where it's going to sound simple. Every disagreement you have, every conflict, every falling out you have, comes as a result of somebody not meeting a desire that you had. Sounds very basic, right? Meaning there was something that you wanted, said or done, or some internal thing that you wanted that this person failed to meet. I think it can be helpful to think about it this way because oftentimes when we're in our feelings, we're just in our feelings, right? And we don't practice what we call metacognition, which is not just to think, but to think about how you're thinking. And it can be helpful to kind of stop and say, okay, what am I upset at here? What is the desire within my heart, the thing that I wanted that this person failed to meet? Now, out of that can spring many other questions. But the one question I kind of want to hone in on today is, after you identify that desire that you had that was not met, a question you can ask yourself is, was this person aware of this desire that I had? Like, did this person know? If it's a no, the person didn't know, then case closed, right? You kind of have to just deal with the feelings and kind of move on and realize that this person actually had no clue and therefore can't really be held liable for what you're feeling. You feel me? Second question, the other possible answer is, if this person knew, it's very important to kind of like press in a little more and say, okay, this person knew. Did they know because I assumed that they know, or did they know because I actually communicated my desires to them verbally, right? Not just hinting, not just nudges, not just clues, you feel me? Those things can have their place, but very often we just have to be very clear in our expectations, right? Because when we're clear in our expectations, i.e. communicating what we want, what we desire, there is very little wiggle room for miscommunication or somebody not being aware. And the interesting thing is that this idea of making your expectations clear has applications in all realms, all spheres of life, in family relationships, in romantic relationships, in business relationships. You find application in all arenas. So let's just sort of quickly take those one at a time, okay? In a family relationship or in a romantic relationship, I can only speak from my context as it relates to my wife and I. We've gone through different seasons of life, right? We're 7 years married now, and life looked different when we were just newly married with no kids, and life looked different when we were a year into marriage, still no kids, and life started looking different when we had kids, right? But it was very important, and we didn't always do this perfectly. Like, I know that I was definitely guilty of kind of like walking away salty and being upset at her, but her not really knowing why I was upset, because I didn't really do a great job of communicating, of making my expectations clear. And over the years, one of the things we've been learning is that as life takes on new colors and new flavors and new seasons, like, we need to sort of like rediscuss those things, rediscuss those expectations, right? What are you taking care of? What am I taking care of? What are we partnering? I mean, we're partnering on everything, but just as it comes to specific areas of how we do life, it's very important that we let our expectations be made clear, right? We'd let our expectations be made known. I can't even imagine what it's like being in the dating world today. Like, I'm not in it, and I'm not been in it for a while, and I'm glad to be out of it. But it's really funny when I hear these stories of these weird mind games that people play, where I'm not gonna call because I don't want to seem too needy, or I'm not gonna reach out because I want her to want me. Like, it's just, again, admittedly, I'm not in that world. And of course, you don't want to kind of like lay everything out on the first date. But I do find it puzzling, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy. And it just sounds really weird that you're not just going to communicate and say what you want to say and set your expectations, because it creates room for a lot of misunderstanding, right? Same thing if you apply the idea of setting your expectations in business. Setting your expectations in business means that you say, this is the value I'm bringing to the table, this is what you're bringing to the table, this are the responsibilities we're going to handle. And then you guys have that communication, so there's a clear understanding at the outset, and then you go about doing your job, doing what you need to do. The downside of not having clear expectations, of not setting clear expectations, is that you open up yourself to bitterness growing, okay? Because now you might become upset about something that the other individual may not even be aware is happening, or vice versa. You get me? As opposed to, if the expectations were set, if there was a clear understanding, guess what? You can always refer back to that understanding. The other thing to consider is this: just because clear expectations have been set does not mean that there's no longer an opportunity for discussion or for sort of renegotiating or figuring that out. That's the topic for another video, in terms of renegotiating previously established kind of like expectations. But that doesn't mean that's not possible. Of course it's possible. Like, in a relationship that is based on trust, whether that's in romantically or family or business or any other kind of relationship you can think about. If it's based in trust, there is that balance of trust, of a free-flowing communication, knowing that we really have each other's back. But the beauty of setting expectations is that there's clarity of purpose, there's clarity of role, there's clarity of decision making, and everything can then move, in a sense, almost an autopilot. Do you get what I'm saying? If you think of the most successful people in the world, or the people you look up to, for whatever reason you look up to them, do you not think they have gone through these very rigorous discussions about expectations and responsibilities and who's going to take care of what? Here's a classic example. We all recently heard that Bill and Melinda Gates were splitting up, right? Who saw that coming? None of us saw that coming, right? Almost nobody. Maybe if you're in their inner circle, you knew, but almost nobody saw that coming. But do you think they just decided to do that last week or the week before or the month before? Do you not think they knew, like, many years prior to this, that this is where they were going, they were headed? Of course they did. Of course they did. But they had I'm willing to venture, I'm going to venture to say that they had very practical conversations about, okay, this is what it means to be together. This is what we can accomplish together. And this is what it means for us to separate. Do you get what I'm saying? These are the things I can handle. These are the things you can handle. These are the expectations we have for one another. And it was because of that that they were able to continue to operate at the level they were operating at for years, until finally they got to the point where they were like, all right, we're ready to push the button, we're ready to pull the trigger. And even in pushing this button, there's a clear expectation about how we're both going to manage this. So what did they do? They did a press release together, you feel me? Smiling with each other. But that does not happen. That does not happen without there, prior to that, being a clear communication of expectations. You feel me? And that's really the secret to, one of the secrets to success in business, to success in relationships, to growth as an individual, is knowing how to communicate your expectations clearly. Because if you don't, you open up yourself up to a whole world of potential conflict. You open up yourself to a whole world of bitterness, because inevitably bitterness will grow because neither of you guys really know what is expected of the other. And so you're both operating in this fuzzy area of, oh, I'm doing this, or they should know that I want this, or they should know that I need. Well, why should they know? Nobody's psychic, right? It's an unfair expectation to expect a person to know what's going on in your head and your heart if you haven't communicated that. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the premise for today, is to set clear expectations, right? And that'll just make you so much more productive in life. It'll free up a lot of emotional real estate, a lot of mental real estate, and it'll actually have a great benefit to your relationship. There's the fear that some of us have that, man, if I want to have this strong conversation about responsibilities and expectations, it might get weird, it might get awkward, it might make our relationships seem too formal. But that's only temporary, because if you don't do the hard work in the beginning, you will pay for the results of it at the end. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's better to set this up in the beginning, so that after you set it up in the beginning, guess what? At that point in time, everybody is free to now just live and work together and accomplish things together, because there's an understanding of, this is what we're trying to do. We're united in purpose, we're united in direction, we're united in mission. Do you get what I'm saying? And we both know what our responsibilities are. So let's go and let's accomplish something together. You feel me? That's the purpose of this. That's the main point for today. Set clear expectations, or you will pay for the lack of clarity later on. Another video, I'm going to talk about the nature of figuring out what are realistic expectations and how to go about maybe negotiating those kind of things. But that's a topic for another video. But I want to thank you guys for sticking around and watching to the end. I appreciate you as always. You already know I'm going to be launching a very, very special project very soon. In fact, it might even be launched by the time this video goes live. But basically, I'm going to be giving away a bunch of Amazon gift cards. So if you want to know how to possibly get your hands on an Amazon gift card, then stay tuned. You'll find out about it. And yeah, I appreciate you. It's your boy Shope. Until next time, love you.
I'll admit it. Yeah, I get it. You been holding me down for a minute. I've been taking too long, I'll admit it. Yeah, I'll admit it.